My Lord, I offer you my soul. Please accept me into your kingdom.
Meet the first millennial saint, God's influencer. Stop scrolling. Did you know the Catholic Church just made a millennial, a saint? Carlo Acutis, a 15-year-old tech genius called God's influencer, is the first millennial saint ever. Miracles, technology, faith. His story will blow your mind. Full breakdown on the Zebratruth podcast. Hello, folks. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Daily World Pod by Zebratruth. I'm your host, Thomas Smith. And today we're unpacking the major story that has shaken up the Christian community all over the world with the start of the church's first millennial saint. We're joined by our expert, Jane. Jane, welcome to the show. And let's dive right in, shall we? Jane, let's set the scene for everyone who's just tuning in. Yesterday, in front of 80 people at St. Peter's Square and millions live streaming, the Vatican made history. Carlo Acutis, a British-born, Milan-raised teenager who loved his PlayStation and wore Nikes, was officially canonized as the first millennial saint. That's wild, right? What was your gut reaction to this headline?
Honestly, Thomas, it's surreal in the best way. I mean, you picture saints as these medieval-looking, old oil painting types, and suddenly there's Carlo, jeans, hoodie, the whole vibe, who literally cataloged miracles online and liked Pokemonday. It feels like the church just did a hard refresh for Gen Z.
That image of his glass tomb with Carlo lying there in a zip-up and sneakers being live-streamed on YouTube really smashes all those old stereotypes. But there's also this deeper layer. He's called God's influencer. How do you think that sits with people our age who grew up online?
It's oddly relatable. I mean, his whole legacy is about using digital platforms for good instead of just doom scrolling. But it's not all memes and miracles. Underneath the hype, his story pokes at big questions like, what does it even mean to be a role model now, when the church is both critiquing tech and trying to go viral? That's a tension I think a lot of us feel.
So, now that the memes are out of the way, let's get into the process. People see this epic ceremony, but becoming a saint isn't just about having a cool website and a nice pair of kicks, right? There's this long, mysterious process. Can you break down how someone even gets considered for sainthood?
It's a lot more Hogwarts than Hogwarts. First, you need a local bishop to champion your case. And then there's an actual Vatican department, the Dicastery for the Causes of Saints, where teams of lawyers and theologians comb through your life. Not to mention, you need 2 verified miracles. And the medical board is ruthless. Everything has to be instantaneous, complete, and basically unexplainable by science.
It's almost like a cosmic vetting process. But there's also this shadow side. I read that it can cost hundreds of thousands just to move a cause forward, printing prayer cards, hiring postulators. For Carlo, his family had the resources, but what about the people who don't?
That's a legit issue. The reality is, some causes stall out because of money, not just faith. Even with Pope Francis pushing for more transparency and setting up a hardship fund, it's still a huge investment. I'm picturing GoFundMe for saints. Not exactly what the apostles had in mind.
That actually reminds me, let's talk about the miracles. Carlo's sainthood hung on 2. A Brazilian child with a pancreatic malformation and a Costa Rican student with severe trauma, both healing after prayers to Carlo. Some people are inspired by that, but others are like, hold up, how do you prove this isn't just coincidence or hype? Where do you land on this?
I get the skepticism. The Vatican brings in independent doctors, and the rules are strict. But let's be real, a lot of people still see it as a leap of faith. And then there's the whole who gets noticed thing. If you have connections, resources, or a pope rooting for your cause, things move way faster. Kind of like getting verified on Instagram, except with way more paperwork and less glitter.
Exactly. The timeline for Carlo was just 19 years blazing fast compared to other saints who waited centuries. Some critics say that's because he was young, relatable, and, let's be honest, marketable. But then, his mom points to the real impact. Carlo wasn't just online. He gave food and sleeping bags to the homeless, quietly. How much do you think public image versus real-world action matters here?
Public image is a double-edged sword. Carlo's story hits harder because he lived his values offline, even if his digital legacy is what made him go viral. Maybe sainthood now needs both the Insta story and the street cred. Honestly, the world could use more heroes with both.
Let's zoom out for a second. The church made Carlo a saint and called him an invitation to make our lives masterpieces, especially for young people. But here's a thought. Is the church acting as a mirror to society's flaws? Or is it just trying to stay relevant? I mean, Pope Francis himself said technology can turn us into consumerist zombies, but then elevates a tech-savvy teen to sainthood.
That's the paradox. The church wants to warn us about tech's pitfalls, but also desperately needs a modern face to pull young people back in. Carlo's canonization is both a big critique like, hey, don't lose your soul to the algorithm, and a flex. Look, we get Gen Z. It's like a TikTok challenge and a moral call-out rolled into one.
There's also this pressure on individuals now, like, not only do you have to be a good person, you have to be inspiring, digitally literate, maybe even miraculous. But is that too much? Is the bar for sainthood becoming out of reach for the average person?
In some ways, yeah. Saints used to be outliers. But now there's this expectation that you should be the best version of yourself and then document it in 4K. At the same time, Carlo's mom says he was ordinary. Maybe that's the point. You don't need 1 million followers or miracles to live well. You just need to be original, not a photocopy, a line I kind of love.
Before we wrap, let's bring it all home. We've talked about Carlo's legacy, the church's motives, and the weird world of modern sainthood. So, for everyone listening, what's the real message here? Are we looking at a church stepping into the future, or an old institution scrambling for likes? What's your big takeaway, Jane?
It's a bit of both, honestly. Carlo's story is proof that you can remix ancient traditions with digital life and still find meaning. But the canonization process, it's messy. It's political. It's expensive, just like real life. What matters is keeping that critical lens. Question the process, admire the impact, and ask yourself what values you want to live by.
Well said. So, whether you're religious or not, Carlo's canonization challenges us. Can you make your own life a masterpiece? Or just are you living out your beliefs, online and off? Let's keep the conversation going, slide into our DMs, or drop a comment with your thoughts.
Here's to more drama, more dialogue, and never settling for the easy narrative. Okay, on that positive note. That is a wrap for today then. Well, thanks to everyone for listening to the Daily World Pod by Zebratruth. If you learned something today, or got a little fired up, share the episode, subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll be back with more from the bleeding edge of AI and news. Meanwhile, you can also visit our website, www.zebratruth.com, and download our app to stay informed and stay connected.